I've got a prediction, and I've had it for quite some time now, seeing how the Canadian has gone, the direction that he has decided to take in terms of attitude, in terms of the way he views life, the way he behaves. My prediction is that in not too many years from now, the Canadian, the Canadian man, the Canadian woman is going to be extinct. I think this country is going to be taken over by the Asians, and I am going to thank God when that happens, because I don't know what has gotten into y'all Canucks, but y'all are crazy, and I'm going to praise the day, and the reason I'm saying this is this. Let's look at the Asian attitude, the Asian mindset, the Asian thinking. And I say Asian because there's a lot of Asians moving to Canada. It's one of the fastest growing demographics, Asian. So the Asian is a person who is innovative, creative, creates wealth wherever he goes, creates jobs wherever he goes, is always building the nation where he lives. That's what the Asian is doing. That's the Asian mindset. They're creators, they're builders. Even when the world was completely against them, the Asian was always trying to figure out ways to try and build up the society he was living in. And hold on one second, I gotta plug in this stupid computer. I'll be right back. Okay, yeah, stupid computer is about 1%. I didn't even notice that. Okay, there you go. See? Talk about innovation. Okay, there you go. Sorry about that. But that's the Asian mindset. Innovative, creative, always looking at ways to better society. Even when the world was against the Asian, even when people were prejudiced against the Asian, they still manage to always find a way to develop themselves, and they are very independent. That's the Asian mindset. The fastest growing demographic in Canada. And that's how the Canadian used to be. That's how Canadians used to be. But now let's look at the Canadian of today. The Canadian is very dependent, very needy. As John F. Kennedy used to say, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. The Canadian has turned that around. He wants the country to do everything for him, and he gives nothing in return. Every election, the Canadian, he's not asking who's going to lower the debt. I mean, some will. Some smart people will. He's not asking who's going to lower the debt, who's going to control the debt. I mean, look at here in Ontario right now. We have the largest subnational debt on the planet. That should be a state of emergency, because if we reach the point where our debt becomes so high that we don't have the money to pay the interest on our debt, we go bankrupt. And if we go bankrupt, you can kiss all the social programs goodbye. But instead of voting for the party which has proven to be the most fiscally responsible party, the polls, I mean, they could be wrong. The polls are now saying we'll go from one left-wing nut. We've drained her out. We've drained her dry. Kathleen Jezebel Wynne, she's gone. We don't want her no more. But we'll go for her puppet, who has voted for her, who has voted with her in the legislature more times than you could shake a stick at. Andrew Horwath voted for the Green Energy Act, voted for most of the liberal budgets, voted for the radical sex education, voted for almost all liberal proposals. The only thing I can really think of that the NDP was against with the Liberals was the privatization of Hydro One. That's the only thing. But they're going for NDP. And the only reason they're doing that is because the NDP is the one saying, we'll give you free this, we'll give you free that, we'll give you whatever you want. And not to mention, we'll have a sanctuary province where anybody and any person in the world can come to Ontario, doesn't matter, and they can access our health care. They can access our schools. I mean, the NDP will make health cards obsolete because they're going to have a sanctuary province. They're going to help not just Ontarians, but the world. Give the world everything. Just everything, even though we have the largest subnational debt. But, you got these Canucks out here who they want the free government cheese and a pair of sneakers and some bag of weed and, money, and they'll be happy. And that is the mindset that the Canadian is taking and has taken for quite some time. And I'm reminded of what happened to the great continent of Africa before the white man. And that's why I say, and people are going to be mad at me when I say this, but I say Canadians are suffering from niggerism. Now, I didn't say black people. I didn't say black. I did not say. There is a difference between blacks and niggers. Now, it just so happens, truthfully, that niggerism affects black people the most. But there is a big difference between, just like there's a difference between white trash and white people. There's a difference. Canadians are suffering from niggerism, expecting everything, wanting everything for free, wanting something for nothing, don't give anything in return. They just think that there's a big old tree which can give them everything. And if you even open your mouth about, well, how are we going to pay for it? You even open your mouth about that, you will be maligned, you will be torn apart, you'll be called a hater, you'll be called for the rich. I mean, can you imagine someone like Doug Ford? People are trying to say he's for the rich. There's got more rich people hate this guy than atheists hate Jesus. I mean, come on, give me a break. More rich people want to tear up that brother so much, but now he's for the rich just because he's saying that we have to make sure that we first of all get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. Not getting rid of teachers or nurses, but getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. Stop spending a whole boatload of money without understanding where we're going to get that, if we're going to get that money back, focusing on the debt, things like that. He's saying that stuff, and the Canadian, with his bad attitude self, is trying to trash down Doug Ford and tear up Doug Ford because he's not offering the free government cheese, he's not offering the free bag of weed, he's not offering the free daycare, he's not offering the free everything, he's not offering the free stuff. He's not saying, I will give you the sun, the stars, the moon. He's not doing that. He's trying to focus on, he's doing stuff. He came out about the free dental care for seniors. They even tried to cuss him out for that. Oh, well, I'm not a senior. I see these young people. I'm not a senior. That's unfair. I'm not. Can you imagine? This is the Canadian mindset. If you don't give me something, I want nothing to do with you. If you don't give me everything, it's like, if you don't give me, I don't want to work for it. They say the best welfare is a job. Because when you have a job, you get money, you get independence. That's the best welfare. You get money forever and a pension when you retire. And the Conservatives are the best at giving jobs. The NDP and the Liberals, they chase jobs away like dogs chase cats. But there you have it. But they ain't interested in it. I talked to one person the other day. He told me, Michael, I'm not interested in a job. Stop talking about jobs. I'm tired of the Conservatives talking about jobs. I want him to raise the OW rates. Raise the OW rates. Ontario Works, the welfare. If he says he's going to raise that, I'll vote for him. Hey and amen. You see? The Canadian mentality. You don't see that with the Asians. The Asian will never dare do something like that. And the Canadian used to be like that too. The Canadian used to be a builder, building railroads. This country, this huge country full of resources. A few people from France and Scotland and England founded this great land and they built it. They were trading. They were building the Canada National Railway with Sir John A. Macdonald. Built the 401 in the 60s. All they built, and then We got someone named Pierre the Cockhole Trudeau saying he's gonna give everybody everything, and we'll just give you. You don't have to do anything. It's a paradise. And the Canadian just lost his way after that. And just like what happened to the great nation of Africa, I mean, Africa used to be a great society before this whole stuff happened. You had the Zulu kingdom, you had the Mandingo kingdom. You can see, even if you go to Africa, you can see the ruins of what were great societies in that continent. And they lost their way after that. I mean, they lost their way. Yes, because of slavery, partly because the white man came over and said, we'll take you. You are my slave now. We'll feed you. You'll be living with the family, but you're a slave now. And I think it's the same thing that the liberals did. They enslaved you. I mean, you weren't picking cotton and all that stuff, but you were still a slave because a lot of things became government owned. There all of a sudden was more government restrictions and government red tape and more taxes that you had to give to the state. But you got all this free stuff, and just like the slave. And that's how niggerism gets in. Niggerism gets in when you become a slave and you accept it. I mean, because the Africans if you read history, a lot of the Africans were selling their children over to the white people. It's the same thing. So when you accept it, you accept that special relationship of being a slave, but you get free stuff, free meal, free all kind of. That's how you become complacent and you become used to it. You become used, and that's what's happening to Canada. So you see how many Asians keep coming to Canada? You see how that's happening? You watch and see. The next 30 years from now, if Canadians don't fix themselves and fix themselves quick, because, I wasn't really shocked when I saw that the NDP was in a lead in the Ontario election. But y'all better change yourselves, because I'm telling you, Asians are watching. And they can't believe what they're seeing. And they're going to say to themselves, listen here, these Canucks, they've gone crazy. We're going to slowly, over time, take over the economy, take over. And they can do it. Just like the natives, when they were here. I mean, a lot of people will get mad at me for saying this, but you know what? I'm going to say it anyway. The natives, they didn't build up the country either. They were here building campfires, chasing buffalo, all sorts of stuff like that. And then the white man came over and said, well, we're going to slowly take over. And now look what's happening. The Asians are going to do the same thing to the white man, and I will help them. Because it seems like the Canuck has gone complacent. And it's the truth. Y'all can cuss me out all you want. Y'all can tell me off all you want. But it's the truth. 30 years from now, you're going to see what's happened to this country. And I'm not saying that to attack Asians. I'm actually saying I support the Asians. I like the Asians' way of thinking. I like their mentality. I like their creativity. They don't just sit around expecting people. You don't see that in China. You don't see that in Japan. You don't see that. I mean, look at Japan. Japan is one of the most innovative countries on earth. They build things. In fact, they build things so good, America went to war to stop them from building things. Japan to this day is not allowed to have an army above a certain amount. Otherwise, America will just go in and probably nuke them again. They're afraid of Japan because they're so damn creative. The Canadian is not creative. It's the truth. Y'all have gone complacent, and we can't keep allowing this. We can't keep allowing this. You can vote for people like to talk about Bob Rae, and I'm not going to be much longer, but people like to talk about Bob Rae from Ontario. You don't even have to go to Bob Rae to see how bad NDP is. You look in Alberta and see what they're doing. Look at Alberta. It's happening right now. Alberta used to have more jobs than they knew what to do with. Now, in Alberta, you'll be lucky to find a burger flipping job in Alberta. And they say, oh, let's tax the rich. That's another thing these NDP people like. They want to tax the rich. All the rich people in Alberta are running away. All the jobs are running away. All the wealth. So they're taxing the middle class now. Same thing happened in Ontario with Bob Rae, and the same thing is going to happen in BC. So you can stay there. This is the Arana Nation.